I'm alone! There's no one in this house! There's not a single soul other than 2 cats I have to babysit. I'm going mad house sitting this house for 2 weeks. What shall I do? Maybe I can do some illustration commentaries. This is a really weird way to open a video up. Hi, everybody! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Let me turn down the music here. How are you all doing? Welcome to the second episode and the official first episode, not a pilot, to illustration commentary, where I, Enshohma, basically takes a single picture and talk about it for a particular amount of time. Again, the series is done on the fly. It's very low run, as you can tell, despite that somewhat impressive beginning. Also, I should warn you, as you can tell from that really terrible prologue to the beginning, I am babysitting I'm house sitting and for some friends who are off away on their honeymoon, Mark and Cammy, and I'm babysitting their cats. So don't be surprised if these miserable little four-legged non-dogs get in the way of my filming. You know, I don't mind cats that much, but boy cats are so intrusive, and they're nowhere near as adorable as dogs. Plus, they crawl up everywhere. So, alright, so now as you can tell, I used track 14 from the soundtrack for Legend of the Dinosaurs as the opening theme song, and that was done by Masayo Yagi. Oh, that's actually a very easy name to say. Masayo Yagi. And let me say that again. Masayo Yagi. That's a lot of fun. And the reason I chose that particular song is because I just love the hell out of it. I'm a big fan of instrumental funk and hyperactive music like that, especially in the form of hyperkinetic disco. And there's just something about that song that just appeals to me immensely. So yeah, that's the title song that I'll be using for this series, unless Toei Productions decides to pull it off. But until then, let's enjoy ourselves. And speaking of Legend of the Dinosaurs, it's only right that the second episode should be based on Legend of the Dinosaurs. Unfortunately, I don't have the original Photoshop files for that particular picture I did for Brendan Tenold's Cult Movie Reviews. Although I do have the image on its own, so I can't really show you the different layers that were used for it or not. So let's, shall I open it in Photoshop, or let's open it in Photo Gallery? Uh-oh. Gotta drag that over there. There we go. And fill up the screen, and there we go. Now, unfortunately, this one doesn't have the title text. It's just clean all on its own. But let's talk about Legend of the Dinosaurs, both the illustration I did for Brendan Tenold, as well as the movie itself. And with that said, let me bring up the Wikipedia on this other computer. There's 2 computer screens I'm using. I'm using this one right here, and then I'm using the one just off camera where I'm at. Hello, everybody. Again, this is not a very elaborate series. Maybe in the future, when I get myself a better computer setup, I can definitely go hog wild with the comic track and the illustrations. But as it stands now, I'm just going to this is incredibly improvisational. Yes, improvisational, and we'll just do it from there. There will be cuts in between. Thankfully, I do have some editing equipment, so it's going to be a lot less awkward than it is right now. Alright, so Legend of the Dinosaurs was a movie produced by Toei Studios, which is one of the biggest entertainment outlets in Japan, as far a production company more like it, that decided to try to do a giant monster movie long after the kaiju phenomenon ended, more or less, with Terra Mecha Godzilla. Unfortunately, the movie was meant more as a big-budgeted ripoff of Jaws, which was popular at the time, of course. And sadly, it's not that good of a movie. I grew up with it, I'll be honest, and but in all honesty, it's not that good. It's like I know it has some fans here and there, but that's because I kind of grew up with it. Yes, Cat, I hear you. Don't ruin this episode. I will twist your head. Anyway, but I have mixed feelings about Legend of Dinosaurs, to be honest. There are some elements about it that I really do enjoy a lot. There's moments where it has a really excellent atmosphere. Some of the cinematography is great. I love the soundtrack, even if the soundtrack is horribly inappropriate at times, like the smooth jazz melody that plays when one poor character gets killed. By the way, this website is the wrong side of the art, and it's a fantastic website if you're fans of photos and posters connected to B movies and monster movies. And usually these said images are presented in high quality, but I wanted some visual references to show just some of the problems with the movie Legend of Dinosaurs, without resorting to, shall we say, playing the footage itself. Even though there's quite a bit of Legend of Dinosaurs footage on YouTube and whatnot. Now, despite its title, Legend of the Dinosaurs, also known as Legend of the Dinosaurs and Monster Birds, there really are no dinosaurs or monster birds in the movie whatsoever. What we do have is a prehistoric sea reptile, which was a different class of animals outside dinosaurs despite the appearance, called a plesiosaurus, and this is literally the puppet that was used in the movie. And that's a puppet too, so don't think this is the scale. And it's not a very good puppet, all things considering. Even I have to admit it. It's like, yeah, the movie is very well shot, and there are some excellent scenes of moody atmosphere and gore. But as far as the dinosaurs themselves go, you have things like this that are just ridiculous. You know, very terrible looking. In fact, let me find a better picture without closing up these windows. You know, in some of these photos, this plesiosaur doesn't look half bad. You know, it's like here that's kind of okay, despite the crink in the neck over here. And then you have something like this, but that's pretty much the lighting covering up some of the flaws of the suit. Where's a good? Anyways. Here's a good example of the full-scale prop that was used for the monster, although it could just be the model suit again. But yeah, this is kind of the terrible-looking puppet we have for the plesiosaur. Oh, this is an even better picture of the full-scale prop that's used to attack the aforementioned poor woman in the lake while smooth jazz music is playing. Again, as much as I love the soundtrack, it doesn't meld very well. Mesh very well with this movie. Great job, Raph. You're showing everybody online just the kind of genius you secretly are. I'm being sarcastic. But yeah, this is the kind of special effects we're dealing with. And I honestly don't know, like Brendan Tennant, I honestly don't know why this was one of the most expensive movies ever produced by Toei Studios. Outside maybe the location filming and the large crowd scenes at the time took a lot of the budget out. That, or maybe some of the special effects outside the monsters themselves. Okay, so getting back to the whole false advertising with the title, the other monster in the movie is a giant Rhamphorhynchus, and I think I may have just shot myself in the foot there. Oh no, okay, we're good. This Rhamphorhynchus here, okay, this is actually the poster artwork for Legend of Dinosaurs, and as you can see, it's not half bad. It's very dynamically done, and that is a gorgeous looking artwork despite the gory subject matter going on. But yeah, and also it's like if you were to tell from the poster, it's like, what is it? Oh yeah, off to the side there are even more monsters in this movie, but there's only a giant Rhamphorhynchus and a plesiosaur to deal with, and their screen time is highly limited. Here's a press release photo for the Rhamphorhynchus. Again, this is all advertisement artwork, so you can't trust it completely. For example, there's no helicopter in this sequence when the Rhamphorhynchus attacks. And the Rhamphorhynchus, by the way, was a real-life flying reptile, different from a dinosaur, different genus of reptile altogether. And in real life, they were no bigger than your common crow. But in this movie, both the plesiosaur and the Rhamphorhynchus have been scaled to jumbo Godzilla size. If anything, they're slightly bigger than a King Kong villain, if you will. And this is a perfect picture showing the plesiosaur and the Rhamphorhynchus in battle. Now, here's the thing about Legend of Dinosaurs. I grew up with it thanks to multiple rentals from Blockbuster Video. And that was before I found out that you can probably buy... Well, VHSs were pretty expensive back then, although I did kind of sneakily find a way to... oh, okay, I'll just say this. To save money from multiple rentals at Blockbuster, me and my brothers discovered the 2 VCR techniques and made copies for ourselves. Now, of course, technically it's utterly legal to do that as long as you don't mass produce it, and you just do it as a private home backup copy. And considering that a lot of these movies are now out of print, we actually did the smart thing by making a bunch of our own VHS copies back then. Another horrible picture of the dinosaurs fighting. Needless to say, Legend of Dinosaurs was one of the few movies not only I watched and I watched alone. And this was back when even the brothers would tolerate kaiju films far better than they do today. And, oh, darn it. See, I told you this was going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. You cats, honestly, I try to defend you guys a lot towards dog lovers, and then you do stuff like this to me. You're walking on my camera setup, you know, why can't you be like the other guy, constantly sleeping and not knowing any better? Anyways, here's the funny thing. I'm babysitting these two cats. The white and black cat is called Warshak. The cat that just went by the camera, I don't know what his name is. I totally forgot, and quite frankly, he deserved it, because he's a bad cat. Now, I used to watch Legend of Dinosaurs a lot as a kid on VHS, but it was definitely one of those movies that you do not watch late at night, because even then I knew it was kind of boring. I think I was more enthralled with the music, the moody atmosphere, and the somewhat dark story surrounding it. But again, it's a movie that barely has any dinosaur footage in it. And I will admit, the last 16 minutes of this movie is fantastic, because despite the terrible special effects, despite the inappropriate music going on, it's like how a lot of movies end on a high note by giving us this sort of apocalyptic vision of Mount Fuji erupting, and Rhamphorhynchus attacks all the other movie characters outside our two main leads, and it just goes gaga crazy from that point forward in the last 16 minutes of the movie. And if the whole movie was like the last 16 minutes of if the whole Legend of the Dinosaurs was like the last 16 minutes of the movie itself, then Legend of Dinosaurs would probably be more looked upon more fondly today than it is. Right now, though, it's pretty much a bizarre obscurity that's one of those lesser-known Japanese monster movies that even kaiju fans have a hard time justifying whether or not they like it or not, especially since a lot of diehard kaiju fans, no offense guys, really don't consider it a Japanese monster movie at all, because our two main leads are based on realistic dinosaurs, even knowing that they're highly fantastical versions of dinosaurs. By the way, this awesome picture here of Rhamphorhynchus and the plesiosaur fighting within the lava, that doesn't the Mount Fuji does erupt while they're fighting, but that scene in particular doesn't happen in the movie itself. So yeah, so that's Legend of Dinosaurs. Is it a lost classic? No, there's some merit to it. Like I said, the cinematography is great, the soundtrack is fantastic, and I do like the dark subject matter, so much so that it's one of those bad movies that deserves a good remake. And by the way, here's the highly inaccurate Italian poster. Yeah, the world... Spoiler warnings, like you're going to watch the movie or not. The world more or less virtually ends at the end of the movie. This Italian poster takes it to even more extreme extents, as you can see, though, because I remember the whole, you know, it's lightly suggested that in the movie, it's subtly suggested that, you know, the world's going to hell because of the sudden appearance of dinosaurs. Why? I don't know. It's 1970s Japan. It's forced drama and a complete lack of film logic. But yeah, that Italian poster takes it one step forward. The only thing it's missing is a giant tyrannosaur destroying the city. Like I said, I think Legend of Dinosaurs deserves a remake by somebody willing to take the last 60 minutes of the film and just go absolutely crazy with it. So Brendan Tenold previously had me do a title card for his episode, Top 10 Ray Harryhausen films, and that went over quite well. So we decided to follow that up with Legend of Dinosaurs, a dinosaur movie that he only recently discovered, despite being a big dinosaur fanatic when he was a little kid, no different than I was. Now, apparently Legend of Dinosaurs did air on the USA Network back when the USA Network could get away with showing schlock cinema. You know, and this was well before the USA Up All Night movies, which was play a bunch of sex comedy and horror movies from the likes of Troma Studios or anything the 80s had to offer. No, we're talking about the early days of the USA Network, when things like Captain USA used to air, where he would show the Gamera movies all the time, and a lot of the back catalog for these lesser known movies from the USA Network were used in the early days of the Sci-Fi Channel. This would probably include some of Godzilla movies, but for the most part it was the Sandy Frank collection. And Sandy Frank, to savvy enough fans, was the man who brought over a lot of Gamera movies and other lesser known Japanese sci-fi films for 1980s television, both through his video label of Creature Features and Just for Kids Entertainment, and also for the USA Network and other networks of willing to show these bizarre little treats. Legend of Dinosaurs was apparently one of them, but it was definitely one of the lesser known ones, and for the most part I never saw it on television or even knew it was on television. The only time I think it was ever shown on television within my lifetime was when it was an early episode of Mystery Science Theater back on its on its original home station before it was brought over to Comedy Central or Comedy Network or Comedy Channel or whatever it was called when it started out. So anyways, Brendan Tenold only recently discovered the movie while I grew up with it, and he decided that was going to be his next title card. Now, at this point, I was fully aware of the bizarre production history of Legend of the Dinosaurs. Again, it was supposed to be the highest budgeted movie that Toei Films made at that time, and yet it really doesn't come off that way unless you count large extras and location filming as high budgeted movies. Like, again, it's almost like the case with the 1978 movie Star Crash, how that movie was a big budget movie, but they spent all their money everywhere but the special effects itself. Hence, it comes off looking like a B movie, despite the fact that they hired some rather well-known actors at the time and had some lavish sets and costuming. But it still looks cheap as hell because they really did not give the money to where it counted the special effects or the monsters. No offense to Star Crash, however, because Star Crash is still an incredibly fun movie to watch. Legend of the Dinosaurs, on the other hand, is not so fun. It's kind of boring, and again, an incredibly expensive movie where it doesn't show as far as the special effects are concerned. Keeping that in mind, that was the idea that I pitched to Brendan Tenold. The idea that this incredibly fake-looking, derpy-eyed plesiosaur is munching on poor Brendan, very much like the poster art, the Japanese poster art for the movie, while obvious strings and or more likely wires are holding the monster up. Meanwhile, instead of Mount Fuji erupting, bags of yen, that's the $ for yen, by the way, for those who don't know what that is burning all around the monster as a substitute for Mount Fuji erupting. And here is where the title card for Legend of Dinosaurs goes. So I'm going to open up another window and show you the show you the one with the title text to it. That's going to take me a little while. Here is a version of the same title card that has the title text on it. And this was the title text I kind of had to do from scratch to ape the text artwork that was used for the 4Kids release of Legend of the Dinosaurs, or at least something similar in the same vein. Again, this is Sandy Frank we're talking about. And down here we have where's okay. I kind of shot myself in the foot here because I don't. Oh, here we go. All right, here's the original again. But as you can see, without the title text, I did some clouds loosely based on the dark blue twilight sky or after dusk sky that's seen throughout the majority of the third act of the movie. The plesiosaur was it's not direct. Well, it's fairly accurate to what you get in the movie itself, but I did exaggerate things like the large lips, the overbite, and the derpy eyes, of course. And here's the funny thing. I did this illustration before I discovered separate layers in Photoshop. So like a real painter with oil paints, I literally had to do this all in one layer. Instead of allowing me to do them in separate layers and playing with each element differently. So all the lighting effects, all the gradients, all that was done in just one go. It was not easy. It was incredibly difficult. And again, this was before I even knew how to properly use Photoshop. Not anymore. I can do these illustrations a lot quicker, but this one took me a good 2 weeks just to get it right. But I'm very happy with the way it ended because it's probably one of my personal favorite title cards doing for Brendan Tenold. It's humorous, but at the same time, it's very spectacular and gorgeous. Gorgeous in its lighting, and I do appreciate it. And as far as silly fan work for Legend of Dinosaurs goes, I'm glad to have contributed in that regard. So that's all there is to really say about the Brendan Tenold title card for Legend of Dinosaurs. In the future, I would like to do more fan art or illustrations based on Legend of Dinosaurs and try to take a more serious route. But with the way my schedule is, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Although I will definitely keep you updated in the future, and maybe with another episode of Illustration Commentary. So with that said, I'm going to end this episode. Thank you very much. And what better way to end it than if I still have the file open, although I highly doubt at this point. No, I don't. So we'll just leave it at that. Thanks, guys, for being here with me. I'll try to make the next episode a little more impressive, and that's about it. You guys take care, and thanks for spending time here. Bye. What do you expect? I'm Enshohma. Oh. Oh, well, ah! I overdid it. Oh.